Yo, yes now and a bless now. There's Rocksteady at King of the Pit TV signing in. We're listening to Death. I did a listen through of Scream Bloody Gore a fair bit back now, and now we're going to move on to the second record. As you know, we go through the discography. This playlist is the official Death discography. It says there's 18 tracks. There isn't 18 tracks, as this playlist contains rehearsal demos. We're not listening to that, so we're going to call it what? Well, there's only 8 tracks on the record. There's only 8 tracks on the record, so this will be a nice easy listen. This is Leprosy. Put out in 88 perhaps. We got no comments. But this is a reissue, so because we got the additional material on here, it wouldn't surprise me if this was remastered potentially. There's only one way to find out, alright? Let's go. This is track number 1, Leprosy, title track. I've never listened to this. That snare, what? What's going on with that snare? I've never heard a snare produced like that in metal. I hope it's not like this the whole way through. That snare drum's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. I hate it. It's turned me off of the record. I hate the snare. That snare drum is the worst sounding snare drum I've ever heard on any record of all time. And I know people love Death, and you're watching this because you love Death and that, but can somebody agree with me? Can somebody agree with me? That snare drum is incredibly off-putting. It's too damn bold. I thought it was an effect at the start. I thought they were just like oversaturating it with some sort of booming distortion. It's horrible. Sounds like I'm listening to Slipknot with the guy who's on the big booming, you know what I mean, percussive bit. And even they just do it every once in a while, not throughout the entire bloody thing. I actually knew a guy who looked like the guy on the front cover of this, you know. And he wasn't ill or wrong, he just looked like that dude. Oh, this is King of the Haters TV. I would love to comment on the tightness of the guitar line, the riffage, the vocal line, but it's killed dead. The band's called Death because the band has suffered a death with this snare sound, with this drum production. How much did they pay for this guy to butcher the drum sound, man? It's all I can hear. Listen to that fill there. What? Whether it's a fill or not, listen. What? That was Leprosy. That was quite a long track. That was 6 minutes 20 long. That was the longest track on the record, title track. Well, yeah, it was. So let's keep moving. All right, I spent that entire one hating on the snare. I'm wondering whether this is going to be a reoccurring theme or a one-off in regards to that. Oh, I don't know, people. I don't know. You might be in for a ride on this one. You might be in for a ride. Let's find out. Des ROCKSTEADY, King of the Pit TV. So far, the record has been born dead. Because I've fallen out of love with the sound production on this record. The drum sound, the snare drum is disgusting. Let's keep moving. Track number 2. This is a bit more bearable. Bit more bearable, this. I think they're toned down on that drum production. Lot of emphasis on just the tremolo picked riffs, man. Tremolo pick, tremolo pick, tremolo pick. And I'm not saying that in a bad way. They're very tastefully played, very tasteful. It's like one tremolo pick riff to another tremolo pick riff. I was never able to do the whole dive bomb thing. Well, not the like pinch harmonic squealy dive bomb thing on the guitar. I could never pick that technique up. What's that line? What does not exist when you're born to die? Tasty. That was a good tune. Yeah, that was a good tune. It's tight as hell. Tight as hell. I mean, if you want a thrashy, if you want a finger wobbler, what more do you want? What more do you want? What more do you want? Forgotten Past coming up next, track number 3. I'm glad that they toned that snare down. It sounds like we're on to the actual record now. So let's keep it moving, track 3. Yes, now, bless now. Don't forget to rest now. There's ROCKSTEADY at King of the Pit TV. We're listening to Death. Leprosy. Last track was pretty good. This one's Forgotten Past. Let's keep going. Track number 3. Heavy metal. Great vocal, how it's grim and dark enough and deathly enough, yet it's coherent enough for you to hear the actual lyrical content. That's good stuff. Ooh. That was hard. That was a groove, that. Does anybody know this band? It's like a black metal band. Peste Noire. I've seen the artwork here and there, but I've never checked them out. Bruh, I got some Riot related videos here. A band called Sorry. DSBM, Innocence, Love and Sadness. We're not going to do any depressive black metal, by the way, people. That was a grim, like, funeral melody, that. First time I've heard the bass line. It's starting to pop a little on this riff. Production don't really give way to the bass line much, does it? You know what's mad? I was thinking about this. Of course I was thinking about it. I've seen plenty of photos of my man Chuck fronting Def, but I've never seen any live footage of Def actually performing, which I find quite interesting. Were they good at what they did live? Because I always see the records reference, but there's never no association with the live performance. Let me know. Maybe I'm just not in a circle who shares that media that much. Left to Die. Quite a few views on this tune. This must be a good one. Track number 4 coming up. There's Rocksteady King of the Pit TV signing in. Left to Die. Loads of views on this one. This must be a great tune. Let's find out. Come on. Sounds like a fun riff to play. Sounds like Body Count. Bro, there's a Radio Disney version on the Relateds. He got a good way of putting pen to paper. He writes like a songwriter, which you don't get too often. You know, you'll get these metal bands who are just great at what they do, instrumentally speaking and vocally. But as far as lyrically, they can't, they can't compose a pleasing phrase or rhyme scheme. You know what I mean? Because rhyming schemes aren't metal, bro. Chuck does it very well. If he writes the songs. Second time this record I've heard the bass guitar. Bassist gets no shine on this record. Let's go back to that. Ugh. Them vocals are horrible. In a good way. That was a good tune. But I got a controversial question for you here. I'm not denying that Def brilliant. All right. Oh God, what's Piers Morgan telling me? Bruh, he's sucking me in right there. That could have been AI generated in regards to the quality I was getting. But what I was talking about, Def, right? What if I put a controversial statement out there and say, pioneers, great sound, great writing. Would they be half of the band they are today if they had crap album artwork? I think the album artwork is brilliant. I say that in support of how brilliant the album artwork is, but I'm asking you, does the branding go above and beyond the music? The merchandising? We've got Pull the Plug coming up next. I'm probably going to see you on the flip side, people. I might be going to bed right now. So I might look different in this next track. Whoa. There's Rocksteady, live and large. A little bit more awake than what I might have been on that last track because I had a breather from the recording. We're going to get straight back into it. We're listening to Def's Leprosy record. This is track 5 of what I remember being 8 or 9 tunes. This one's entitled Pull the Plug. I think this one comes with a music video. It's been put up by Relapse Records. 3 million views. Let's jump in. Come on now. I'll see you after this advertisement. Thought it was a music video. We're just flogging merch. We're just flogging bare merch. It's quite old though, coming April 29th, 2014. Merchandise bundles. Who's making the money? Where's the money going? Have you seen that? The black on black shirt. George says, after all these years, it still sounds so fresh to me. You know what? I agree. As far as Def's sound, it's very, 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 very ahead of its time. And a lot of that comes down to the sound engineering, the production. Very ahead of its time. Dragonfly says, how could Def not be the best metal band ever? No. This band is definitely not the best metal band ever. Definitely not. Death are a death metal band, yeah. Arguably, you could say they were melodic death. Do you not think? Do you not think there's a lot of consideration in the sort of melodic aspect, not necessarily through harmonizations and the like, but it's not harsh music, you know. It's not the vocals, yeah, the death metal vocals, but instrumentally speaking, it's relatively easy listening as far as death metal's concerned. Up. This guy's hard, Chris. The kind of song that makes you lift weights past your limits to find strength beyond strength. We are all in a battle against time. Jeez Louise. Although, as far as, I don't know if he meant it, it says lift weights past your limits. It's quite literal, so potentially he is on about weightlifting. I like to lift weights, and I've found as of recent, you know, that repetition or two behind your mental boundaries, even if you were a runner, if you were participating in any sort of mind over matter sport, in practicing and training, that extra 2 seconds, that extra 3 seconds you add in that severely uncomfortable zone where your mind's just like, give up, you don't need to do this, that is going to save you weeks, months, years as far as accomplishment and benefit in the future. As far as being in a battle against time, you know what I mean? That 2 seconds equates to 1 week, quite potentially, as far as, you know, muscle growth or strength growth or so forth. That's irrelevant to this song, but I thought that comment was interesting because I've been philosophizing on that as well. Pull the plug, let me pass away. There we go. Decent tune. As for why this one on the playlist was sort of like a Relapse promo video, I have no idea. Open Casket coming up next. Let's keep going. There's ROCKSTEADY King of the Pit TV signing in. We're listening to Death, Leprosy, track 6 of 8. This one's Open Casket. Let's go. And they're reintroducing that snare drum. Have they brought that shitty snare drum back? Worst sounding snare drum of all time, out of any record I've ever heard. I like this high energy death as opposed to like the mid tempo death. This high energy thrashing death is well good. I'm not falling out of the snare as much as I did do when it was introduced on Leprosy, the title track. Not falling out of it so much on this tune, but still so overempowering, right? That was Open Casket. That was a good tune. I like the high energy to that one. I like the high tempo to that one. That was a powerhouse of it. Didn't really get along with the snare. I don't know why we reintroduced it onto that track. I don't know if there was a couple of recording sessions potentially, and initially or afterwards they switched the snare or something along the lines of that. Because it's mad how it came and went. But yeah, that was a good tune. I like that one. We've got Primitive Ways coming up next. There's Rocksteady King of the Pit TV. Listening to Death, Leprosy. This is track 7 of 8. It's entitled Primitive Ways. Let's go. Come on. That drumming's tasty, innit? That double kick sounds clear. You know, I don't see this album referenced too much as far as when I've seen Death Leprosy isn't a record I see put out there as much. What do the deaf fan base think about this record in relation to the other records? Ooh. Absolute rage of this one. That was a banger. That was Primitive Ways. That was not one of the fan favourites looking at the view count on it, probably because it was a little more driving thrash, a little less death metal, you know, as far as the morbid tones, you know what I mean? Just in regards to the morbid tones, you know what I mean? We aren't mid-tempo, grungy, horrible. We were actually quite high-tempo, push-pitting, thrash metaling on that tune, and I liked it. That's what I like. I think they do the fast-paced stuff better than the mid-paced stuff, personally. But I can see why people would disagree, and I don't necessarily think the fast-paced stuff is the sound of death. All right, so you know, I like the more thrash metal orientated ideas. Let's finish off with this dodgy titled one. Choke on it, alright? There's Rocksteady, King of the Pit TV. We're finishing off Leprosy by Death with a very dodgy titled track. This is track 8 of 8. Choke on it. Choke on what? Do I want to know? Probably not. Let's go. Better. Come on now. Come on. Drummer's nice, clasping on to that hi-hat there. Come on. I like that. I like that a lot. Ooh. Drummer's getting fruity on this track, I'm not going to lie to you. Drummer's getting fruity with it. What am I choking on? My tongue. I will have some comments to say. Let's just hear it out. Let's just hear it out. I probably have something quite controversial to say, to be honest, so hang on for that. Here we go. You got like quite a clean guitar ringing off on my right hand ear. Unless that's like an incredibly high-end bass guitar, but I doubt it. There was a lot of showing off from the drummer on that track, and it was very pleasing to hear. There was nothing wrong with that. It feels like you've heard it all when you get to this point. You know, I speak on this. When it comes to metal bands, you can be incredibly consistent, yeah? Which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But sometimes the consistency is a burden because there's nothing new to comment on. I could have just listened to the same track 8 times over. And I'm going to leave my further comments on a video coming up where I'm going to give an overview of this record and I'm going to rate it out of 10. So I'll see you on that video, alright? Peace. Yes now, bless now, don't forget the rest now. There's Rocksteady signing in at King of the Pit TV. I got a review for you today. I'm going to rate this record out of 10. We've just listened to Def's Leprosy record. Second LP from what I'm aware. We've listened to the first one on this channel and now we've listened to the second one. Alright, track by track. If you've just joined me now, I've done a song by song reaction / commentary / whatever you want for you to enjoy. Given that, you know, they all weren't copyrighted. To hell and back, because sometimes some just can't go through the gaps, unfortunately. But this was a good record as far as the music's concerned. I'm gonna balance my comments on this record, okay? So hold on, it's not all positive. It's not all positive. First and foremost, on the very first track, you tell me why this has happened. Def fans, let me know why this has happened. On this playlist, the official playlist by Def, the track Leprosy starts the record. One of the most horrible snare drums I have ever heard in my life. Maybe not necessarily down to the actual tonality and the timbre of the snare, but more so down to the way it was engineered, the way it was mixed on the track. It was horrible. I was listening to it thinking, this is absolutely disgraceful, and I hope this doesn't continue on. They take it out, second track. I think it makes a little bit of a return on Open Casket, but that was a different listening session to me. I listened to it in 2 sessions, first half and the second half. Didn't seem to be as bold through this, or I was just less irate, but that snare was horrible. Now, to stick with the drumming was really good. I don't remember how much I commented on the drumming on the first record, but if I commented on it as much as I'm about to do so now, there's definitely a consistent drummer in the band, that's for sure. The drumming was really good, the fills were really tasteful, really tasty. The drummer wasn't so overt and trying to show off. Just evidently and clearly a very tight drummer and great for the job. Alright? Just needed to take that snare drum and burn it. Don't even chuck it, just burn it. And replace it with something else. Guitar work was okay. It was okay, that's all I'm going to say. It's all tremolo picked. When I want to hear death metal, I want to hear someone digging in. I want to hear a little bit of that. Didn't really get much of that. Do like the fast-paced, tremolo pick Slayer riffing, but it needs to be a nice surprise. It needs to be a nice surprise. I felt like Def on this record performed better in the up tempo, but I feel like that wasn't the real Def. It feels like to me, Def is a band that really has their sound within the mid-tempo. Really within the mid-tempo. Whereas me personally, down to my tastes, I like a little more thrash in my death metal. I like a little more punk in my death metal. So I prefer the faster pace, circle pitting, slam dancing elements. Alright? Vocals were good, lyrics were good. Good songwriting. Good phrasing as far as the rhyming schemes were concerned, because you don't really get too many metal frontmans taking that seriously. So the songwriting was good. That's what I would consider good songwriting, The rhyming schemes were good. 8 tracks. It felt long to me. It felt like I listened to the same track over and over and over again. I can't tell you anything that stood out on one particular track, honestly. Now, this is why this is going to be a controversial review. Because everybody loves Death, right? Death are fantastic. Leprosy, that. This is my personal opinion, and I'm going to slate it. I wouldn't return to this record because I thought, generally speaking, it was boring. Boring. I can't remember much, which speaks very boldly about my experience now, but I can't remember much about Scream Bloody Gore. But I knew I had more of a positive input as to what I have on this record. So you let me know where Leprosy stands as far as its correlation with the other Death records. Alright? By the 8th track, I've heard enough of the... And then the drum beat will change and you'll still have a tremolo picked riff. It's just... do something new. Do something new. Tempo changes, alright. But that's about as far as they did. Dynamically, it was all the same. Riff-wise, it was all the same. I don't care if you disagree with me or not. To me, it was all the same. And I don't mind it being all the same if it's something I am into. I wasn't into the sound. Death, Leprosy. Hey, a comment on this one. I'm giving... Oh, no. You know what? I have to give it some props because it was tight. I was going to go in. I'm going to give it props because it's tight. Clearly good musicians. Clearly. Good, if not great musicians. Ahead of its time. The band is ahead of its time. The branding, exquisite. Love the artwork. Love the logo. Love the colourway on the front cover. Sound engineering. I'm not going to give a point to the sound engineering. Generally, it sounds fantastic. But that snare drum I was hearing on 1, 2, if not 3 tracks could quite possibly be the biggest bummer of all time I've ever heard on any of these death metal records, no matter how badly and how budget they were recorded. If you want to check me out, watch my reaction to Leprosy, the first track, if you want to see how I feel about that. So bang, I'm going to shoot it down and say I'm rating this 4 out of 10. Boring. I'm never going to return to this record. It was good, but boring. Bored. And for people who are into Death, let me know, yeah? On Pull the Plug Remastered, it was put out by Relapse Records, yeah? And it was like advertising new merchandise, getting put out new merch bundles in 2014, alright? When did Chuck die? And when Chuck died, did Death stop becoming a thing? Did Death disband? And if that's the case, where's the money going in regards to the new merchandising bundles and stuff? I understand that they own the masters and they own the rights to some extent. And I can't hate the player or the game. If you sign the contract, you sign the contract. But out of interest, do you know where the money's going? Let me know. I'm interested in the business, in the industry. I'm interested. And on that, I'm signing out, people. Peace and love. I will do more Death. I'll go on to the next record as well. I will go on to the next record because I know that there is a great big fan base out there, and you know, I'm hoping it gets a little bit more varied than what I've heard. A bit more varied.